Good evening. Welcome to the Danvers Conservation Commission meeting for March the 10th, 2022. We operate under the Massachusetts General Bylaw, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 26 of the Town of Danvers General Bylaw, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. After each applicant presents his or her request and the board has had time to ask questions and discuss the project, we'll accept questions from the audience. Because this is a public meeting, it is required by law that you give your name and address first. Although we may disagree on the issues raised, all persons present during this meeting are expected to be civil to all other meeting attendees. This includes the members of the commission, staff, abutters, concerned citizens, and property owners and project applicants. We also request that you confine your questions to the project and only as it pertains to the Wetlands Act. We cannot handle, nor do we have jurisdiction over, matters such as noise or traffic. All problems not related to the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Danvers Wetlands Protection Bylaw must be taken up with their appropriate other boards. Moving to our agenda, our first item of business is roll call. Peter Wilson is present. Vanessa Curran.
Present.
Chelsea King.
Present.
Ann McGill.
Present.
Michael Splain is absent. Mike is not here. He's traveling. First item on our agenda is notice of intent for 160 Andover Street, DEP file number 14-1378. Congratulations on finally getting that DEP number. And the applicant is PMG Northeast LLC.
Good evening. My name is Brian. I am getting a lot of feedback.
Really? That is strange. Sorry, Brian, just a second. I'm not sure why.
I mean, I was getting feedback here too. I think the sound's turned up
There's
too high.
always something.
Let me say something, Brian, and we'll see what's going on.
Good evening. Much better.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I hope our success doesn't end with getting a file number, so we'll give it our best shot. Brian Levy for PMG Northeast LLC. With me tonight on the line are a representative from PMG, Gary Kilfeather. Also tonight with me are Jesse Coakley, the project engineer, project manager, and also Kevin Javison, our wetlands consultant. This is actually the continuation of a hearing that was started on January 27th, seeking approval of a new notice of intent for 160 Andover Street and a small waiver from the 50-foot no-build zone. And it's taken us a little less than 2 months to get the DEP file number, so here we are coming back to you. To refresh your memories briefly, the site is a gas station with a convenience store. It's about 1.3 acres. It's located on the south side of Andover Street, or 114, along with several other commercial uses. The site is a corner lot at the intersection of 114 and Avalon Bay Drive. And the site is not far from the Route 114, Route 95 interchange. The site is relatively square and flat. And the reason we're here tonight is because Crane Brook is in the rear of the site. The site has been used for a gas station for over 70 years. Most recently in 2006, the site was raised and rebuilt by Cumberland Farms, which received several variances from the ZBA and significantly from this board, an order of conditions for work in the riverfront under the redevelopment provisions for work in degraded areas. In 2020, PMG purchased the site and inherited a situation where Cumberland had not implemented the landscaping planting improvements in the rear of the site, adjacent to the Crane Brook, under the order of conditions. So there was essentially an open order of conditions with no certificate of compliance. PMG is now seeking to add a single lane drive-through around the rear of the building to serve the existing Dunkin' which takes up about 350 or so square feet within the convenience store building. We've moved forward with several approvals on this already. MassDOT has advised us that it has no objection to the drive-through, so long as it is approved locally. The ZBA has granted us use, parking, and dimensional variances. And the commission, at a hearing on January 13, you approved an amended order of conditions, eliminating some of the conditions related to the landscaping that had never been put in place, and a certificate of compliance. So you've ordered both of those to sort of set the stage for this notice of intent. Both the amended order and the certificate of compliance have been recorded. So when we last left you on January 27th, we had made a detailed presentation on the notice of intent. We reviewed all the plans, including the review of the new stormwater management system, the new planting plan. The commission had several questions. There were public comments. And basically, we left that hearing with instructions from the commission to work with Georgia to create operation and maintenance conditions so that what had happened before wouldn't happen again. And so then we worked over the next couple of weeks with Georgia, going back and forth on the documents, and we came up with what has, I believe, been distributed to you, which are a total of 20 conditions. It's a 3-page document, and it addresses everything from bond requirements, reporting, signage, stormwater management, drainage structures, landscaping installation, landscaping maintenance. So we've tried to hit all of the hot buttons, which could have brought us to this point to begin with. So at this evening, we would ask that you approve the order of conditions subject to these conditions. And I'm going to stop there. And if you have any questions from me or the engineer or our wetlands consultant, we will answer them.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job of spelling out the conditions that we expect to be seen here. So personally, I have no further questions. And that is just as a brief commentary, I would say I think it's a good project, and we'd like to see it succeed, just to show that reclamation of whatever the term was that this land was beforehand has been made, so it's a much improved parcel. Absolutely. So that's what we're hoping to see. Mm-hmm. So going forward, I'll just pass it along to the other members of the board to see if there's any other further comments or questions, and then we can go from there. So let me start with you, Chelsea.
I've got nothing further.
Okay, Ann?
I'm satisfied with what you've presented and your conditions.
Okay, Vanessa, are there any other questions you might have?
Nothing additional.
Okay, I guess at this point, do members of the public have any questions or comments? Mr. Duggan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
There we go. Matthew Duggan. Just one point. I think at the last meeting we talked about the follow-up, right? Maybe 1 or 2 growing seasons. Mm-hmm. Is that the definitive line, that after 2 growing seasons, if it looks like the plantings have established themselves and they haven't been
Please enter a conference ID.
They haven't been overrun by the invasive plants that are there today? Is there some, because I'm not sure, 2 seasons, is that sufficient? Is that like a standard benchmark that you use?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we may answer the question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
I would ask our wetlands consultant, Kevin Jamieson, to address that question.
Hi, Kevin here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so in our experience, 2 seasons is usually what we would see if there's some type of issue with the plantings themselves, or the area that they're planted in, or the maintenance that is being performed. A lot of times you're going to see, that shock of putting the plants into a new area is going to take place, quite frankly, during the first season, if not the second season. After 2 growing seasons, there's a reasonable degree of confidence that the plants will become established and succeed. So that's where we're at with the 2 growing seasons.
Just a quick follow-up question to that. We're intending to plant this spring if everything moves forward?
I don't know, Jesse, do we have a timetable yet on the construction? I think we've still been, focused on permitting, quite frankly, Mr. Chairman, but I'll let Jesse add what he can.
Again, I'm just thinking out loud, if they're not planted this season, it's going to be 2+ years before we see that. So,
yeah, I don't know that it will be planted this spring, only because we still need to develop the construction documents and submit those to the building department, for the actual changes to the building for the drive-through. So that may take a little bit of time. So it depends on how the timing lines up. If we can, great. If we can't, we'll have to do them in the correct time frame.
you can plant in the fall, but we'd still want 2 growing seasons
Yeah.
Yes,
to satisfy the condition. Okay.
Yes.
So thank you for that information. So my concern is, or concern of others as well, that if you say just maybe 2 years out, that's the timeline that the order of conditions will be closed at that point, it's possible that not all the plantings survive the first iteration of this effort. And so I think maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, you may see that there's no real incentive for the property owner to ensure that what's being talked about today actually comes to fruition. And so I would, I'm not sure when the order of conditions would be, when you would revisit that and to close it. But at that point, I would ask that you, perhaps the commission would go down there and do a site visit, and just to ensure that what you're imagining that it will look like, that it kind of in reality matches that perspective. So.
Okay, 2 points with that. I think in the conditions, it's part of it is that staff will go in and inspect the property.
Yep.
And you mentioned incentives. I mean, the applicant is posting a bond.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, if it's not looking like it should, we still have that bond to do what needs to be done.
Yeah. And,
So
and I
I'm
agree that
comfortable
you're
with this.
doing your due diligence from that perspective. But, what we've seen sometimes with projects, 5 years, maybe longer out, the plan really doesn't, it didn't come to be the way that it was originally designed, either through lack of, management from like a landscaping company, or just, they've passed muster on the project. These folks will no longer be associated with it. And so really, it's kind of like a no man's land out there. And I think that it's worthwhile to keep that, the invasive species at bay. That's going to be a difficult challenge for that location, I think. But maybe that's not even the purview of this commission to kind of.
Well, we're trying to get, the correct plants
Yeah.
planted and established. And if they are the correct plants, we're presuming they are, I mean, the experts know more than I do, for sure. They're gonna put them in there and they're gonna thrive. And
Okay.
that's what we're hoping to see.
All right, that's great. Well, I think that's what we all would hope for. All right,
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Bradstreet?
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. Is there some type of a barrier that goes between the sloped land at the back of the building and the wetlands to keep the slope from disappearing into the wetlands, or the wetlands creeping into the slope where this vegetation is supposed to be planted?
I would ask if our engineer could answer that question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
So the slope itself is going to be planted with these additional plantings. We're also, one of the conditions, number 4, specifies the posts to be installed with signage indicating that these are approved plantings and that no storage can take place back there as well. The slope is going to be stabilized, planted with an appropriate seed mix, but there's no other physical barrier being proposed. But the slope shouldn't erode into the wetland area.
Again, that was my concern. If the wetlands come up in the spring because of water, snow melting, what have you, if they would eat away at the roots of the vegetation that's supposed to be planted, if it would at time, and I don't know what the length of time, it would slowly break away, disappear, so you don't have this is the line, this is this side, this is that side, the roots, the root balls of the plants are gonna hold everything in place.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and the actual wetland area is quite far from where I guess this restoration is actually occurring.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Okay, I
Yeah.
went up and looked at the property, and it was difficult for me to see where one ended and one
Yeah,
began.
yeah, but no, there's,
Just my view.
Mhm.
Not an engineer, just an old person asking a question.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? All right,
Online?
Georgia?
I did just have a note. It was mentioned earlier before the meeting from someone in the audience that the site does have a bit of trash in the back. It does sound like planting and construction, if the project is approved, will not happen for quite some time. But now that the snow's melted, things are being revealed, I think if we could have the owner go out and clean up the site, that would be great,
Yeah,
please.
should that be added as a special condition?
Yeah, the condition will have the job site should be cleaned anyway, but I will
Right,
put in
yeah.
there,
mhm,
clean up the site.
Okay, so,
yeah, okay, that's 16.
so the first thing we should do is close the public hearing, and we have a waiver required for this as well, right?
I believe you guys requested a
did.
small portion in the 50, correct?
Did we do the
Yes.
waiver last time?
No.
No.
Did we
okay.
vote, we didn't vote on the waiver last time?
No, okay.
Okay. All right, so if there's no other comments, let's close the public hearing. So if someone can make a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the public hearing is closed. So now, could you just show us a quick drawing to just show us where the small little parcel that requires a waiver is located? I think I have a recollection, but I just want to see it on a drawing.
Sure. So here's the riverfront plan. This is the small disturbance to the no-build zone. Just this small elbow here, about 195 feet, which represents 5% of the no-build zone, which is permissible in the regulations up to 20%. So it's 5%.
Okay. Thanks. Does anyone, members of the board, have any further questions regarding that?
No.
Dan, no?
No.
Chelsea, no?
Nope.
Vanessa, do you have any questions?
No, nothing additional.
Okay, if someone can make a motion, we issue a waiver to allow building in that small parcel inside the 50-foot no-build?
I'll make a motion to allow, to.
Grant a
Grant a
waiver.
waiver for the small disturbance in the 50-foot no-build zone.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Got to speak fast, Vanessa. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think
Okay,
there's a delay.
moving on to the main motion. If someone could make a motion to grant an order of conditions for this project, and
I'll do that. I want to make a motion to issue an order of condition for DEP file number 14-1378 for 160 Andover Street, with the inclusion of special conditions 1 through 20 that we discussed in written and provided with written format in our February 22nd meeting of this year. They cover bond reporting and signature requirements for sensitive areas, stormwater management and drainage structures, landscape installation notes, and landscape maintenance.
very good, thank you. Motion's been made, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so you guys are good to go, so good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come back quickly.
Thank you.
Okay, number 2 on the agenda is a notice of intent for 47 Collins Street, DEP file number 14-1375. The applicant is Old Salem Village Condominiums. The applicant has requested to continue the hearing until our March 24th meeting. So if someone can make a motion to continue, please?
I'll make a motion that we continue notice of intent for DEP file 14-1375, 47 Collins Street, to be continued to the March 24th meeting.
Motion been made, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is notice of intent for 41 Choate Avenue, DEP file number 14-1376. The applicant is William Madden. The applicant has requested to continue this hearing until our 3/24 meeting. So if someone can make a motion, we will do that.
I'll make a motion that we continue the notice of intent hearing for DEP file 14-1376, 41 Choate Avenue, be continued to the March 24th meeting.
Motion been made, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up is a notice of intent for 51-55 Pickering Street, DEP file number 14-1374. The applicant is 55 Pickering Street LLC. Once again, the applicant has requested to continue to our 3/24 meeting. If someone can make a motion, we will continue until then.
I will make a motion that we continue, that we continue the hearing for notice of intent for DEP file 14-1374 for 5155 Pickering Street.
Motion been made, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, is there any old or new business that we need to discuss, Georgia?
No, but I'll note to the commission that we obviously have those 3 hearings that were just continued. So for the 3/24 meeting, we're getting a bit busy. We have those 3. We also have 3 new applications that came in. So one is actually for the Danvers landfill, stormwater, and a capping project. So that would be the introduction to that at the next meeting. And then we also received an ANRAD, an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. I've only had 2 done since I've been here in Danvers, so we don't get them frequently. That is for the 152 Endicott Street, the Denny's site, the old Denny's site across from the
Okay,
Cultural.
yeah.
So they've surveyed that, done the delineation, and they've now provided the plan to memorialize that, and that will be discussed at the 3/24 meeting. And
Is that just a discussion, or are they looking for us to approve something?
So the ANRAD filing, if it is approved, what the board would be issuing is an ORAD. So that's an approval of the board saying, yes, we recognize this wetland line and we agree with it. And then from there, the owner can use that to formulate and design projects based on that formalized line. So the
Okay.
commission would issue something from that. And it does get a DEP file number, so once that, it goes through the same process as an NOI.
Okay.
Okay,
And that was it. Yeah.
okay, good, thanks. I guess we're all set, so if anyone is willing to make a motion, we will adjourn.
I'll make a motion
make a motion.
that we, oh, all right, sorry,
Give
okay.
Vanessa.
All right, Vanessa, go ahead, Vanessa.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Motion's been made, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you
Vanessa.
all.